this is some of the coolest album art and logo making that I have seen, and that's coming from a genre that is notorious for having unreadable logos. I'm gonna be completely honest, I was not familiar with this project, I was not familiar with the demo that released last year, but they were actually trending on Twitter as a black metal band that had like over like 8,000 likes on a tweet alone, which that is pretty insane, because seeing black metal in any capacity that is positive trending on Twitter, it's awesome to see, especially a brand spanking new project. And I'm really stepping into this with no preconceived notions of the lineup or what the other demo was like, and I can easily say this is one of the best recorded and best sounding lo-fi black metal records that I have heard in quite a few years, rivaled only by projects like Paysage d'Hiver as well as Kek de Rock. And even then, I think comparing this record to them wouldn't really be fair, because I think this is a really awesome release that you're not going to want to miss. By far my favorite black metal release to release this year thus far, and probably my favorite black metal release to release in the past year or so period. At its core, it's a pretty like straightforward lo-fi black metal record, but there is a sense of deep loss and regret and hopelessness in the way a lot of these riffs play out. The forlorn primary rhythmic progression on the track Vampiric Comet has just burrowed its way into my ears, and it hasn't left at all, which coincidentally is my favorite song on the album or demo, depending on how you see it. So at its core, it's a very simplistic lo-fi black metal record, but it plays out in a way that you are witnessing something that you shouldn't be. Like some sort of dark incantation playing out in the distant like Victorian mansion that you will never see in your entire life, with lightning periodically striking the faraway cobweb-laden window. And despite the entire mix of this thing being buried under a thick layer of fog and dizzying rawness, there is a very noticeable, intense push and pull to this record that showcases itself even in its more restrained moments. Take the track Snowbringer's Spell, which at its core is very minimalistic, functioning as this hanging dirge that could accompany some frosty funeral with some dark looming figure hanging over this tombstone with the name etched out from the sands of time and forgotten. Nothing about this album is easy or welcoming to listen to, but there is something kind of addicting and something intoxicating, at least for me, coming back to this release and seeing just how sorrowful a lot of these riffs play out, even when at face value a lot of the riff writing ideas are pretty scant, pretty minimalistic. It's in the execution that kind of makes this record feel very special. You know that feeling you get when you hear a record from a specific genre that just speaks to you and resonates with you and clearly builds up a lot of acclaim and buzz for good reason in a specific niche, and you know that at the end of the year it's still going to be a record that's on a lot of people's minds for one reason or another. I think we are witnessing that with this record, and it's going to be one of those things that we kind of see play out in the future. It's cold, and I know that that term gets thrown around a lot. You'll hear terms like frigid and wintry thrown around with black metal a lot, but I really do mean that. And I would not be throwing that around if this didn't feel like a snow-capped mountain in some venture. To echo my initial sentiment, it feels like you're witnessing something that you shouldn't be. Because let's level here. A lot of black metal bands try to have that nostalgic vintage factor, and a lot of projects try to embody that scant minimalisticness and that brittleness, the sharpness of a black metal mix that is low fidelity enough to be ear-scraping. But a lot of those bands and a lot of those solo projects fail in making it seem memorable and special and stand out in the corpse pile, and I think this project 100% did that. And it's crazy to me that a record that is this like delirious and full of so much crazed instrumentation and is so off-putting and clearly trying to push the listener away in any way it can come out the other side not only being very memorable and unforgettable, but having a lot of riff writing that borders on catchy at times. Some of these riffs just sound fucking good, dude. I think the only thing preventing me from giving this record a higher score than I'm about to even is the fact that at its core it is pretty minimalistic, and it is pretty status quo for a lot of what you get from lo-fi black metal, and I could see someone that is very deep into the niche and consumes like dozens, hundreds of releases, finding this record to be a little bit forgettable, but I think that if you go into it with an open mind, you are going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it if it is up your alley and if it's your cup of tea. I think this could be an acquired taste, and I would look forward to seeing what creative ideas this project has in the future. But for now, I'm going to be giving this album an 8.5 out of 10. And that is a wrap. What are your opinions of this new Keys to the Astral Gates and Mystic Doors album, EP, demo, whatever you want to call it? Fucking mixtape. We'll call it a mixtape. How about that? Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.